Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the HodlCast. And today we have special guest Trooper. Trooper, can you give us a little background on yourself, how you got involved in Bitcoin?
Sure. Well, I'm okay with disclosing my name. My name is Alex Waltz. It's
Okay.
exactly like the dance. So I'm okay with being referred to as Alex. It's quite a funny story, actually, how I got involved in Bitcoin. I was studying computer science around 2012, and I was meant to meet one of my friends for coffee, and he tells me he's gonna be late. So I did what we would usually do then. I would lurk on 4chan for a bit more. And for those of you who don't know what 4chan is, it was referred to as the cancer of the internet. Um, and then it pretty much is just a forum where people would post anonymous things. And because of that, you would get some really interesting stuff, but also a lot of trolling. And well, I'm lurking there and I see this post that says earn money with Bitcoin, which sounded kind of weird. And I said, oh, it's probably a scam. I shouldn't pay much attention to it. But for whatever reason, it had a lot of responses. It had around 100 something responses. And that's really unusual for 4chan. And, I started reading about it. And the more I read about it, the more it makes sense. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really understand what censorship resistant meant or why this makes a lot of sense, but it kind of felt that this could be a big thing. Well, I've always had this regret. I've kind of understood what the internet was about. I always felt that if I would have been born 10 years earlier, oh, I could have done so many things. I would have built all these businesses. And when I got a chance to see this Bitcoin thing, I said, if this could be like this, and if there's a small chance that this could be so big, I need to make my life because, my life needs to revolve around this. That's what I've been doing ever since then, every waking day, just Bitcoining all.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I mean, I quit college. I just quit college right away, and I that's all I've been doing. So yeah.
Wow, so it had a big impact. That you hear that about a lot of people when they first discover it. It just takes all their time, and everyone gets very excited about it. So well, what are you working on now?
Sure. Well, right now we're working on this new thing. It's called Zismo.io. That's Zismo.io. And what Zismo is peer-to-peer marketplace to buy and sell Bitcoins face-to-face. To clarify this a bit more, this is a platform where people advertise that they buy and sell Bitcoins. And you can find these people and you can contact them, meet up with them, and buy and sell Bitcoins.
Nice. And I guess I should disclose, I've helped a little bit on the project too with some of the terms and whatnot. And I'm really excited about what you're working on there. It's one of the I don't want to say anything bad about my other clients, but I feel like what you're working on is one of the more exciting projects I've seen in a little while. So can you explain why the face-to-face aspect of it is so important?
Sure. I think I should bring a bit of context. Well, our previous business, we're in London. We have a bureau de change for crypto. What does that mean? Um, there are these shops on the street where you can walk in and you can exchange your euros for dollars, right? We call them here bureau de changes, which is a French term. Well, we have exactly that, but for crypto. It's just mostly Bitcoin, to be honest with you. I don't think we ever had anyone else really care about other cryptos. It's mostly Bitcoin. Well, we had this business and it was doing pretty well, we worked pretty hard. We tried to grow it and we would get most of our clients from local Bitcoins. And, and what happens that when we start off this business, our whole goal was always to like give the best first time buying experience. That's what we always wanted to do. We wanted to give you the best experience, and an experience has way more dimension than just buying Bitcoins at a certain price. Like there's so much more to it than that, right? And we always wanted to do this. And at the beginning, we were accepting bank transfers, right? And other types of online payment methods. But just one by one, our bank accounts would get shut down because we'd go to the bank and they'd be like, well, what is this thing you guys are doing here? Oh, we're selling Bitcoins. We can show you everything. We're KYCing our customers. We're doing everything above board. And they would say, well, you know what? We're going to close your account. You're going to get a check with the remaining money. And, it's nothing wrong against you guys, but we have the same attitude towards pornography and gambling. That's when we realized maybe we should have gotten pornography instead of this. Probably would have been more profitable. And the biggest problem with that is that, well, that affects your credit score. Like me personally, I'm banned from every high street bank in the UK. I can't get a bank account. So, you know, when this happened, we didn't have any other options. So we were like, well, okay, then I then guess it makes sense to try to accept cash payments and meet people face to face. And that was the greatest thing in the world, because that's when we realized that people don't actually care about those things. People care about meeting someone, at least the people who buy for the first time. They care about meeting someone and sitting next to them and you know, just talking about it. And you know, you get a lot of advantages by meeting people face to face. But that was a bit of a long introduction to answer the question. But there are three main reasons why actually I would encourage anyone to try to use our platform and try to use peer-to-peer markets. The first reason is just, again, this getting your bank account shut down. It's a really big thing. You just go on Reddit and do a search, and you're gonna find a lot of people who got their bank accounts shut down. So
I've had a few shut down myself. Yeah. Even my law
that's
firm,
a very big.
oh, sorry to interrupt, but even my law
go on.
firm got its bank. Like, you know, a law firm's trust account is a very, you know, an integral part of a firm. But we were at this small bank, the Bank of Tampa, and they shut it down because I accepted not even Bitcoin, but I was accepting, you know, payments from clients that had Bitcoin in their name and things like that. So it was, yeah, and I've seen it happen to so many of my clients. I think banking is still the biggest hurdle for anyone trying to operate in this space. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very valid. And we know a lot of people. And again, there's just a lot of example on Reddit. You just have to do a search. And there are people who just bought Bitcoins one time. Or like you said, they would interact with people who have something to do with Bitcoins because they do flag accounts like this. Mm-hmm. And you would get your bank account shut down. And again, that affects your credit score, you know. So getting back to answering the question, why is face-to-face trading important? Well, there are three main reasons. The first one, you're not going to get your bank account shut down, right? And if you're going to trade like this is a truly peer-to-peer transaction. This is just between you and the trading partner, right? And probably you're going to use cash, but not necessarily. So you're not using the legacy banking system. That's the main reason. The second reason is I call this a different dominant component. Oh, let me explain what it means. If you are going to walk in a corner shop and buy a can of Coca-Cola, well, you're going to go there and you're going to say, I want a can of Coca-Cola. And they're going to say, well, it's £1. Take it or leave it. If you don't like this, you can walk outside of the shop, you know. Well, if you come on our platform on Zismo and you want to buy one Bitcoin, there are going to be all these people having the advertisement there, right? And you go on and you say, hey, I want to buy one Bitcoin. And all these people are going to compete to get your business. They're going to compete to give you the best customer service and offer you the best price. This is a competitive environment where these people, who again, they're providing liquidity to make money, right? They're going to try to fight over you and they're going to try to give you the best service. So again, that's why I call it dominant component, because you are dominating there. You are getting the best of it, right? You clearly get to pick what's happening. And again, that's just a whole different experience compared to going like on a website or an app or an ATM, you know. And the third reason is the human touch. And when you asked me earlier when I got how I got involved in the Bitcoin, well, after I heard about Bitcoin, this was back in 2012. There was literally no one I could ever find that I could talk about this. After a few months, I find this guy on local Bitcoins. I had to drive somewhere else, and I meet him. And that was really, you know, I mean, again, I understand what private keys were and all those things, but it was still a bit weird. It was weird trying to, you know, I could buy food with this money, and here I am trying to buy magic internet money. So I ended up meeting with this person, and you know, we sat down after we exchanged the money for a Bitcoin, and we talked about it. And that was so impactful for me, because that's the first person in my life who didn't thought I was crazy when it was about Bitcoin. That was a huge thing for me. It really was incredible. And I even think to this day, if I would have gotten my Bitcoins from a website, I don't think I would have been a Bitcoiner. I wouldn't think I would have got so obsessively involved with this. I don't think it would have managed to take over my life like this, you know? So the third reason is pretty much the human touch, the fact that you can interact with a person there. So just to enumerate again the answers, because they were pretty long. It's you don't get your bank account shut down. There's a different dominant component, and there's a human aspect to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all very, very important points. And what about the fungibility too? I guess that doesn't impact you as much, but Bitcoin as a whole, I think it's better for the transactions to be happening in, local trades and things like that, because these days it seems like with all the cipher trace and blockchain analysis, there's a risk that the fungibility is going to be I think challenged in the coming years. But these transactions
Yeah, I think you also touched a bit on the podcast with Crypto Graffiti about this. Well, the reality is Bitcoin is I'm gonna just try to argue two sides here, and I'm gonna say first of all it's not fungible, because you could definitely see that there's this Bitcoin and then there's this Bitcoin, which kind of is not technically correct because there's just UTXOs, but never mind. Let's just say there's this Bitcoin and this Bitcoin. So they're not fungible. They're not 100% fungible. You could say that the same thing about the dollar bill, right? Because as similar as they are, they do have a series. Now, the thing that I'm not too worried about these companies, right? Because, well, we have coin joins right now, and coin joins are, for those of you who don't know, just a way to like put coins together and not be able to tell whose coins belong to who. And because of that, their business model is going to become irrelevant very soon. So I wouldn't worry about that. And then let's just say we have this dystopian future where Chainalytics companies take over, and there's the white coins and the black coins. Well, what's going to happen is that there's going to be people arbitraging those things, and there's going to be some certain market dynamics. Markets are good at very one thing, and that is pricing things in. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. There's going to be someone who's going to be willing to take that risk, and they're going to just arbitrage that, and they're going to somehow move these coins around. And again, you have coin joins right now. Like what coin joins do, they exponentially increase the cost of evaluating if these coins are black or white. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that, in the future.
I like that perspective. Thank you. And for the Zismo platform, how many people do you anticipate using it? Like, what is the market for people doing these peer-to-peer trades or face-to-face trades?
Well, that's a very good question. That's one I would want to know the answer to. How many people transact like this? I don't think anyone could answer that. But to answer your question, I could tell you what I would want to happen and what would I anticipate happening. I would like to clarify that there are two types of users on our platform. They are the traders and the clients. The traders are going to be the liquidity provider, the market makers. These are going to be people who buy and sell all the time, and they have advertisements for buying and selling, right? And they're the people you run into. And then the clients are going to be people who interact with these traders. They're the clients of the traders, if I may. And I would want to have at least 3 traders in each big city, and we'll define a big city as being a city that has more than 1 million people, a million population. And I think it would be pretty decent to have around 30, that's 30 regular clients for these traders. So that would mean that's like around 600. That's about 600 traders times 30 big cities. That's going to be around 18,000 users. That's what we're hoping for anyway. Maybe about in a year or something. But fingers crossed. This may never pick up. So who knows?
Oh, I
hope that answered your question.
I think it will. Just based on what I've seen from you so far, I think you're going to make it very successful. And then what are the risks and advantages to these local traders?
Sure. Well, I know you're a Bitcoin Uncensored fan, right? So I think you remember the days when Exotica was around, right? And I got a chance to hang out with some of these guys, and I knew about a project from the early days. And what really impressed me was that they really cared about having a business that only touched Bitcoin. Like they weren't depending on any other system. They were just a platform that did a good job, mostly for some things, and they only touch Bitcoin. And I remember saying to myself, you know what, that's the best thing you could hope for in this space. Like if you want to be a Bitcoiner and you want to be an entrepreneur, that's the best way you should do it. Like for you, that's what everyone should aim for. And while we couldn't get that, right? Because our business before was depending on banking, and we couldn't get it. Now on Zismo, well, you could have that. You could start a business exactly like that. It's pretty simple. You have 100 quid. Great. Do you want to go and meet people? Yes. Do you want to earn Bitcoin? And I'm talking about earning Bitcoin. I'm talking about stacking set. Stacking set is great, but you know, there's just a few orders of magnitude difference between stacking sets and earning Bitcoin. So do you want to earn Bitcoin? Well, that's very simple. Just come on this platform and start a business. It's simple as that. You don't need anything else, you know, and you can have a Bitcoin, proper Bitcoin business. You only will gonna talk cash and Bitcoins. And I think that's incredible. Again, that's what I've always wanted, you know, and I feel like we're building this platform for us before anything, you know. So that would be an advantage, like you can earn Bitcoin. And well, you know, as a thing, I talk with a lot of people. I go to all the meetups. I go everywhere, you know, in London. And it's not really hard to convince people on Bitcoin, you know. Tell them about Bitcoin. They kind of understand what the deal is with it, you know, and then they say, well, I want to earn some. And then you told them, well, yeah, you can earn a few Satoshis. And it's like, well, that's not cool, you know? And I think the reason everyone just wants to make more money. And no one wants to say that. Like all of a sudden, if you want to earn money in this thing, you're like the devil or something. You're not here for the technology, which is so absurd. And it's just idiotic at the end of the day, because economic incentive, like the feedback loop in this incentive aligning machine starts at greed and ends with greed. So, you know, you have to have a way to tell people that, yes, you can be greedy. You can have an honest form of greed and you can earn Bitcoin, you know. So that's the biggest advantage. You can have greed and come here, you know, provide a service, be an honest guy, and you're going to earn Bitcoin, you're going to earn money. That's the biggest advantage I could see. What would be a disadvantage? I guess the obvious one is, again, when you meet someone face to face, that's more of a higher bandwidth way of interacting, right? There's more happening between the people. So you could definitely, you know, expand the experience. But on the other hand, the fact that you're in mid space, the fact that you are next to someone, you know, there's some certain physical threats. And what I would recommend to people is that just try to lower this risk. Try to trade as lower amounts as you can, and try to trade in safe places. I mean, I think everyone should just go inside a bank and trade inside a bank, you know?
Yeah, a bank or, you know, coffee shop or somewhere very public and low risk for crime. Mm-hmm. And then,
I mean, I'll be honest with you regarding the coffee shop thing. Let's just touch on this. You know what? If someone is in a coffee shop and you look at them exchanging cash, it just looks weird, right? But inside a bank, a branch of a bank, it's made specially for that. So I think that's the least conspicuous thing to do. I would just recommend anyone just go inside a bank and use the bank. I don't think anyone will mind, you know, if you're not causing any trouble or something like that.
Yeah, just go in the waiting room, I guess, or near the ATM.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to work in a bank in Canada, and I don't. If a lot of people started coming in, they might, you know, you pretty much have an eye on who's in the branch and whether they're customers or not. But yeah, I think you know, a few people here and there probably slip by. But if it started being a main meeting hub, I think the branch manager might find it funny.
Well, yeah, that is very true. That is very true. But I think you could still do it in a way. I'm just trying to give a way where you could benefit from the security of the bank, pretty much. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes good sense. And then some of the other risks that we talked about were the legal side. So your platform is just going to be an advertising space, and then it's up to the traders themselves to take care of their own legalities. So if they're trading in America, they need to be registered as a money service business, and same with, you know, complying with whatever laws in whatever jurisdiction they're trading in. So I think that was a really smart way to design the website for you, so that you're not taking on any of that legal or compliance risk, and just kind of providing a place for people to meet each other. And then it's up to the trader who's profiting off the trade to take the additional steps to get compliant. But in America, we've seen a lot of undercover cops going and meeting with people off local Bitcoins and saying, you know, the Espinoza case, for example, that was one in Florida where the undercover officer said he had money that was generated from some kind of illegal activity. If memory serves, it was from stolen credit cards. And the trader he actually didn't do the big trade that they tried to get him to do. He just felt something was funny about it, and they still got him on money laundering and unregistered money service business trading. So it is very important that the traders themselves take the extra steps to bring themselves up to speed on what the required compliance is. But that's not your problem for them, so that's good.
Well, yeah, you know what the thing is that you see this all around crypto Twitter, and it really rustles my jimmies. You see all these people, and you know, they're trying to be maximalists, and they're just imbeciles at the end of the day. And you know, they're asking people to provide to build businesses and provide these services, and they're not supposed to like do their due diligence. And again, there are people encouraging people and that's just crazy for me. I mean, you know, you're gonna have a market. And again, markets are incredibly good at pricing things in. Well, you're gonna need liquidity there. Well, those market makers are not gonna be able to provide liquidity if they're in jail. You know, it's hard to trace from jail. You know, and yeah, that's the proper way to do it as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's not like I don't ideologically think that, you know, we should KYC everyone. We're like, you know, we should have this information spread everywhere. You know, I value my privacy, you know, and I try to value other people's privacy also. But if you're going to run a business, there's certain things you need to do. And people don't really want to understand that. And I don't know, it drives me crazy. It sounds very, very childish.
And the difference of doing this local trade with a face-to-face person compared to doing a cash to Bitcoin exchange on, say, Coinbase or some other KYC'd website, you know, that provides that, is there's not going to be the same, like, it's not going to be reported for taxes. You're still responsible for your own taxes, each person, but there's no, you know, the local trader probably isn't going to report the taxes. It's up to you, the client, to take care of your own taxes. And they're likely not going to be encompassed. The trade isn't going to be encompassed in a cipher trace search or a Chainalysis search with the two identities known. The local trader's duties in America as a money service business would be to report anything that's suspicious. So if the person said something like the proceeds are going to be used for a crime, or they're trying to do just up to an amount that would trigger a currency transaction report and keep it smaller and do several trades with different traders, and that type of thing is found out, then either the two things that would be reported on the person would be a suspicious activity report, which can start at the lowest threshold of $2,000, or if the trade's over $10,000, then a currency transaction report is required to be filed. So either of those, the information would go to FinCEN, and then if FinCEN felt the need to follow up on it, then that's when, you know, they could start looking into it. But if you were trading on Coinbase, that information would just automatically be being collected with, you know, your identity, the tax stuff going to the IRS. So there's still a lot of privacy measures that even doing it above board with the money, like by having the trader register as a money service business, there's still a lot of privacy measures that are captured in this type of transaction that wouldn't be captured in the Coinbase or other, you know, KYC exchange type transaction. So there's still a lot of advantages for Bitcoiners to do face-to-face, even if it's with a registered money service business as a trader. And all that.
Well, that's a very valid point.
And all that's captured in an ATM transaction too, typically. So it's, you know, some people think they're more anonymous going to an ATM, but a registered money service ATM or registered money service trader would be kind of the same level of privacy, except the photograph might not be taken at the local trade.
Well, yeah, regarding the photograph and storing data, well, the GDPR here in the UK, you have legal grounds to sue people if they don't handle your data properly. Like us personally, we have a phone that doesn't connect to the internet, and then afterwards we transferred it because we have to like take pictures of ID, and then we transferred it in an offline environment, and then we try to have them in a safe location where no one can get in except us, right? And there are free factors of authentication in order to get there, you know. So that's way better than using, you know, Coinbase, because you're transmitting that information online, and I don't know what practices they have. But at least here in the UK, and us personally, we really care about we care about other people's information. Again, we feel it's our responsibility to do everything we can to secure it properly.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen lots of different levels of security, and it seems the people that are true proper Bitcoiners, they all know how to, do it like you just described offline and whatnot. And then other people are just storing it on a, a hard drive or something like that. And then other people are storing it on Dropbox, and it's like, where is the line of what's secure and not? And yeah, cloud storage, I think, is probably not meeting the threshold.
No, not at all. And GDPR talks about this, and they're also, well, there's one section there, and they say when, for example, for our books, right? And again, when I'm talking now, this is our bureau de change business. This is us offering liquidity. This is not Zismo, just to clarify for everyone listening here. Again, we were big traders on this platform, and we will be liquidity providers. It's in the GDPR, there's a section saying that if you're going to use this data, so let's say for your books or something, you're required to keep the data in a pseudo-anonymized way. Like, you're not going to have the John Doe name of your client there or other type of information. You should have client number 1 or something like this. I mean, the GDPR, it's a pretty good place to start. I think it's just a good place to start. I wish, would see it in other countries also. So again, there are guidelines. There are ways to do this properly.
And we talked a little bit when we were going through it about the Freedom of Information Act, or how you could control, or what level of control should you have over what type of advertisements clients are putting on the Zismo website. What did you think of all that?
I'm sorry, I can't believe I didn't turn on my phone. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, you know what? We wanted to limit our liabilities before anything, right? Because, well, the less liabilities we have, the easier it's going to be for us to run the platform, and the platform can stay up. Traders can make money, clients can get their Bitcoins, and everyone is happy at the end of the day. So we definitely want to limit our liabilities. And then, well, we weren't really sure how we're going to do that. And, well, I guess I should have clarified that on our platform, the way you could have a direct chat with a trader. So, that's how you're going to interact with them. And we weren't really sure how we're going to design this and what's the proper way to do it. And we also weren't really sure, like, how much attention we should pay there, and what should we do, and how much responsibility we should take. And I guess that's what we learned from that, was that a more hands-off approach is going to be better for everyone. And that's how we're going to approach this.
Yeah, so for anyone that isn't familiar with the Freedom of Information Act, it's from the 90s in America, and it said that publishers are not responsible for any misprints or anything in magazines. So it started off as sort of a derivative of defamation. So if a newsstand had a magazine and that magazine had a misprint in it, the newsstand isn't going to be held responsible for publishing a misprint of information. So they can't get charged for the defamation. And it just kind of has spread out from there. And especially in the internet age, the act says that people like YouTube or any information providers or content providers, they're not responsible for the content on their platform unless they're going through, which is what I find so strange about all the deplatforming that happened, starting with Alex Jones, and then it's just been steamrolling along this past year. I think they're moving from being, agnostic to what content they're providing to becoming a publisher, because they're taking control of what information is allowed or not allowed. So I think it's important as a website provider that you have it so that everyone can, you're not controlling the content on there. And once you are starting to control it, then you have, then you kind of lose that liability, the limited liability that the Freedom of Information Act provides. So I think how you designed it, where if users start reporting other users, then you'll look at it, but otherwise you'll let it kind of run on its own for the information that is published or the chats that happen. And when's everything set to launch?
Well, we're gonna have a working prototype in about a week and a half, and we're gonna start allowing a few people we know to test it pretty much. Just start posting advertisement, the ready chatter, and that's pretty much it. So, and after that, I don't know, maybe in a month we're gonna have like the product's gonna be done, and then hopefully we're gonna go officially live. But you know what? We really, when by we I mean mostly me, we really care about things looking nice and feeling nice, right? Because again, this is supposed to be an experience. This is not about just getting bitcoins. It's really much more than that. And well, you know what? If I would ask you right now to rate your senses somehow, and the top sense is going to be one which you wouldn't want to let go of. I think most of the people are going to rank first their visual sense, right? Because that has the higher bandwidth. You get more information for that. Well, because of this, when people make decisions, they weight their decision more on the visual cues they get, and that's how what makes them feel good, and that's how their experience is going to be influenced. So we really care about this really being visually appealing, and the speed of the animations and all those things, they really need to be nice. We just want to build the best first time buying experience. It's there's certain objects you use, or there's certain like software you use, and you just like, there's not a single aspect of that process that's bad. Like everything is just so well thought off, and then you don't frown. You just do not frown when you're using it. And that's what we want to build this thing. We want to just build the best first time buying experience on the planet.
Nice. And I saw you were, testing out the different colors. You sent me some links, and I saw you sent it in Telegram, and I liked how much care you were putting into choosing that. But what was the most popular color scheme, or did you decide yet?
Well, actually, that's just we spent a month on the colors, actually researching them, and I'm working with Ed. Ed, if you ever took a look at a BTC Pay server website, he built that with some people anyway, but he took care of visual. So he's really artistic, and he's really good at these things. And we spent a month just talking about shades of blue, which I like sites like this. I really like the process of doing that. And well, we ended up having 3 colors with the ones we presented to you, and we presented to other people. And we went with a dark. Most of the people preferred the option that was a bit easier for the eye. It was a more like it was a blue very similar to the Telegram blue if you use the desktop app, right? But we ended up going with a more darker blue. We call it the F18 blue. That's our shade. Just because we think that's gonna make people engage. People are gonna engage more with it, and we want it to be just a bit in your face that you're gonna remember it. So yeah.
Nice.
I want again, we really like the process, and I again, me more than anyone else, we really care about like spending a lot of time into these things. It's like if you would play a song, right, you are gonna have 20 minutes out of a 5-minute song. There's gonna be 30 seconds, which is gonna be the solo. It's gonna be the most important, the most powerful part of the song. Well, one could argue that actually the whole reason you're playing that whole song is just for those 20 seconds of the solo, right? Well, for us, when we are spending those time and trying to get those tiny details really right, that's the solo. That's the part we like. We just like the process of building this website. And the process involves all those little things. It involves picking the right shade of blue, it involves talking with people, it involves, dealing with the legalities, it involves everything, We like the process of building this. And, that's how we're gonna pursue this. We like all little aspects of building this website and creating this business.
And that's the kind of attention to detail that I think will ensure your success, or I think at least
Hopefully.
put you very close to on a good path for it, because a lot of people I've seen, they just rush to get to the place where they think they're going to be able to earn money off things, and taking the time to build each aspect of it right, and taking the care to make sure it's the best way possible. That's people really respect that, and they notice it. It's like quality.
Yeah, well, there are 2 schools of thought here pretty much, and in the startup world, there's the well-known this is considered to be the startup Bible, right? Lean startup, where you're just supposed to do something as quickly as possible, build an MVP, get feedback on that, and try to iterate around it. If things work out, iterate further. If not, try to pivot, and that's fine. And that's one way of doing business. This would be the way of like, I would see this analogy being like, you know what, imagine you're blindfolded and you have to walk in a room which is dark, and you have to serve some people their specific drinks, but you can't talk with them, right? Like that's the lean startup thing. Well, you're going to be very careful and you're going to move very little and then touch this and okay, this is something else, right? But then the other way would be, well, if you happen to really know what's happening there, if you really happen to know that market, well, you're gonna know what to build there. And the famous Steve Jobs quote is, well, the consumer doesn't know what they want, right? So we think we really understand how these things work because we've been doing it for a lot of years. We've been really doing this. We had a successful business. Again, this is not like some dinky startup. We're not like, you know, pulling these things out of our ass. We tested this with a lot of people. So we think we know what's the best way, and we're trying to build that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And do you have any idea of what countries will be, you know, the biggest volume for you, or have you looked at? I guess you could look at local Bitcoins and see where they're trading, and probably some of that market will be some overlap. Or
well, that's a very good place to start from. I think there's going to be a lot of overlap and some correlation with where the other peer-to-peer markets have success and where this is going to pick up. But I actually would expect it more to pick up in the Western countries, to be honest with you, because what we have here. Yeah, when that's going to be a problem with the banking, because that's what the kind of clients we're serving. They were upper middle class people who, you know, just did not want to use bank accounts. They heard about Bitcoin, they wanted to get some exposure to it, and they choose this option because it just has all these advantages.
And you know who else might be a really good target client is ATM owners and operators, because I know a lot of them are having trouble getting banks right now too. So if they have, you know, just one trusted person they can meet once a week, exchange Bitcoin for cash, refill their machines, that could really help them too. Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, that's
mm-hmm.
Well, that's a very valid point.
Yeah. And how will the trades take place? Like, I know, you know, not that I've done any drug deals or anything like that, but it's kind of like doing, you know, it's money on one side, Bitcoin on the other. Who's going to give what first? Like, how do you make sure the person doesn't take take one thing and run off? Or
well, you know what? I think there's nothing like a drug deal, to be honest with you. And
okay.
And if there's anyone who ever traded with us in London, they know it's nothing like that, actually, you know. And you know what, this Bitcoin thing, it's really special, and not because, you know, I spent a lot of time on it, and not because of all these reasons, but there's only so many of them, of these units, right? Even if you're going to divide them to the Satoshi, and that makes them special. And even more than that, this units, the specific articulation of value has some very specific properties, right? And these properties are very unique and very special. And while, you know, the same thing, if I would have to compare to something similar, I would compare it like a diamond, right? A diamond is something very special. And not just because you're gonna, like, you know, you're gonna put it on a ring or something like that, just because it has some very special chemical properties. That's some condensed carbon that took a lot of time, right? So that's a very special object. And if you're gonna have, even if it's gonna be a diamond ring, it will still cut the glass. It has some very special properties. Now, because of these things, and because people understood how special diamonds are, when you're gonna buy a diamond, that's a very interesting process, right? That's such an incredible thing, and the experience that comes with it, it's suiting it, right? Well, that's how we anyway took care of the Bitcoin business. And even more than that, if you want to get a bit philosophical, if you're a trader, you are literally giving the red pill to the people. Like, that's a big responsibility. And how we were doing it, I don't think that the proper way to get introduced into this thing, that's not how I got introduced anyway. I don't think it's to like go to a machine or go to like some website or something like that. Again, it's much more special than that. It really is something great. In the moment you get exposed to Bitcoin, your chance of becoming financially emancipated just increased by orders of magnitude, right? So I don't think there's nothing like a drug deal, actually, to be honest with you. I think it's something so special and so incredible, and the process needs to be described like that. Now, enough with talking so abstractly and just pumping it so much. How does the process actually go down? Well, you're going to go on the website and you're going to see some people having some advertisements there. And you're going to see different traders with different reputations and different prices. Well, you're gonna talk with some of them. You're gonna decide on, okay, I'm gonna meet with this guy. He seems pretty reasonable. He did X amount of trades. This is what people thought about him. We're also gonna have this very interesting thing that you can evaluate him, how he ranks in the web of trust compared to you. So you have all the resources to evaluate if this is gonna be a good person. So now you're gonna meet with this person. Most probably you're gonna meet him inside a bank somewhere. Or again, if some people want to really go out of their way, they're going to have their own designated splits. They're going to do like this, just really, really good. That's how we did it anyway. That's how I hope everyone will do it on our platform. And you're going to meet this person. And usually what used to happen even on local Bitcoins, and for the old timers, even on Bitcoin-OTC.com, the person who would have less feedback, would be less reputable, would go second. Well, just because there's a lower likelihood that that person is going to try to pull something. And even more so, if you're a trader and you're trying to build a business, you're trying to, to get your feedback up, you're trying to make more money, then it's your whole interest to try to be as nice as possible. And you're not going to try to do anything. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yes, yeah, very much so. And so is there anything else that I maybe forgot to ask that you want to touch on?
Yeah, well, you know what, I would want to I don't like to make predictions, but I think the year 2020 is going to be the year of the peer-to-peer markets. Like, since we started working on this, I know 3 more platforms that are trying to do peer-to-peer, and they call it cash trading, first of all, right? Just because of the fact they're using the terminology cash, that proves they have such a low understanding of what this thing is supposed to be about. The main aspect of it is not using cash. The main aspect is meeting people face to face, not having other intermediaries. And somehow these people understood that there's a big market for this, that there's some advantages, let's try to build those platforms. But, imagine you have some people who built brick houses most of their life. And these people are really good at building brick houses. They probably are even the best in the world. And one day they look around and they realize that, hey, people like to live in tents. We're going to start building tents. And they start building tents, but they don't spend a few years living in tents and understanding the intricacies that come with living in a tent. They just build tents. So you're going to end up having, some tents that are built by people who never lived in tents, and they're expected to be used by people who don't live in tents anyway. So they're just going to build really bad products. And you see this all around. And the biggest misconception, and this is just incredible. I mean, how come no one is seeing this? They think having an escrow helps things out. Now, don't get me wrong, an escrow helps if you don't meet the person that you're going to meet, right? Well, if we were right now to transact, well, we can't trust each other, so we're going to trust a third party that's going to evaluate if everything went right. Abstractly, you can consider this a smart contract, and the person controlling this is the oracle, right? Now, let's say we're doing a cash trade and we meet face to face, and again, the money is in the escrow, right? And something goes bad. It's literally impossible to prove what happened there, right? Or a very fancy way to say this would be the cost of evaluating facts in reality is infinite, because the oracle cannot evaluate this, right? So yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't get that right. And they're like, oh, we have an escrow, come and trade cash. And I just roll my eyes so hard, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that you hit on a really major point there. It takes someone who's done these kind of trades to understand all the intricacies that are needed to make it a good transaction. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And where can people find you? You said the website already, but are you on Twitter or anything like that as well?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Zismo, Zismo.io, Zismo.io. And well, I'm Raw Avocado on Twitter. You can find me like that. So yeah, that's probably the easiest way to contact me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I love that guitar collection behind you as well. It looks like you're probably a very good guitar player.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate for having me on the show and giving me a chance to explain what we're trying to build here, and And again, I think it's really important people understand that the whole narrative that comes with us, building this platform. And yeah, regarding the guitars, well, I've been playing guitar for like 12 years now. I'm really into guitars. I'm a lot into guitars. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Stop the recording here. Yeah.